Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Matt Zeffy, and in this episode, I sat down with Jordan P. Anderson.
We kind of rush into things with our passion, and I've done this 100%, that you set out to do the thing you do, you get your camera, and you're like, I'm a filmmaker. Or you get your camera and like, I'm a photographer. And then about a year into it, you start to realize like, yes, it's my passion, but also this is what's keeping the roof over my head.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is River People, a podcast for doers. What's up, guys? I'm here with Jordan P. Anderson. Jordan, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. If you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and kind of just, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So right now I am a pricing coach for wedding photographers. I help wedding photographers get their marketing down, get their pricing down, and, kind of overcome that barrier to being afraid to charge too much and earning a little bit more money, doing what we love, what we all love. But my kind of background is a filmmaker, cinematographer. I kind of went all the way back to, got a college education for filmmaking, and in the middle of college realized that I wasn't learning anything about the business of filmmaking or the business of how to earn a living doing this kind of creative stuff. We were, of course, you learn about white balance and ISO and what camera models were cool at that time. But then it's like, okay, now am I just learning all this so I can go get a full-time job to become a filmmaker? But then there's hardly any such thing as the full-time job as a filmmaker. You kind of have to like go get it yourself. And then that's where the kind of 2 years before I graduated, I was like, okay, I got to start a business, got to start learning how to become a filmmaker, how to charge, how to work with clients, get contracts down, all that stuff. So I partnered up with a friend, and we started a little wedding video production company, I guess. We were doing beer commercials, we were doing weddings, we were doing kind of anything that we could do to get, just get experience, get those reps in. And that kind of elevated more into YouTube, and actually found a full-time job as a filmmaker. And yeah, and then the kind of passion grew for kind of looking back over my shoulder, like, hey, I've been in the video production world now, I've been in kind of the commercial world, documentary world, and looking back, like, oh yeah, I remember I used to be a wedding videographer, and I used to work a lot with wedding photographers, and kind of my mission is always like, I love helping people, I love educating people, and I was like, okay, I gotta help these people, like, because I think that's like, we all gotta, it's cheesy to say pay it forward,
yeah,
but that's kind of my mission, to like help my former self, help my former dumb 21-year-old self who had no idea how to run a creative business or earn money or earn a living doing this kind of thing.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And I feel like even 2 years ago, I had seen your video. It was called A Video Production Company, The First 100 Days.
Okay, yep.
So I didn't actually make the connection at first, but I had seen this video like 2 years ago. And
really?
Also,
okay.
One of your recent live streams was like served up on my feed, and that's how I like recently connected with you. So
nice.
It was
Okay.
I didn't actually make the connection at first, but so I feel like you're doing a great job at helping many young creators, including myself 2 years ago, even though I didn't end up starting a video production company, but I was still on YouTube looking for that knowledge. But
nice.
So were you involved in photo video before college at all? Like, did you know you wanted to do this at a really young age or anything like that?
Oh yeah. The origin story from me is, right around the time, try to figure out what age it is. It's either like your 11th birthday or your 12th birthday, where like your parents stop kind of being in charge of your birthday party planning, and you just you become your own birthday party planner. And so one night, I think it was my 12th birthday, 13th birthday, what it must have been, that I took my mom's video camera. We had a bunch of we were super into Call of Duty and playing Guitar Hero at the time. So me and all my buddies came over, and we had a bunch of Nerf guns. We were into airsoft, and we just got the video camera out. We had I had bought this crappy green cloth, and we just hung it up to do a fake green screen effect. And we just stayed up all night and made like one little movie, and it was the DV tape. So you had to like, you'd shoot a take and then you'd switch it to play mode, rewind it, watch the playback, and go, okay, that was a good take, and then like try to fast forward it just enough so you wouldn't hit the like blue screen or like the gap in the tape, and then we'd shoot it again, and then I think the last scene was like 7 a.m. and then like we kind of wrapped it up, and that was kind of the end of the birthday party. But it was like, whoa, that was like, I always like attribute that kind of good feeling of like camaraderie, creativity, just collaboration. Although I couldn't articulate it when I was 13 years old, but that was what I was going through. And then that kind of became a tradition. 14th birthday, 15th birthday, we'd all come over to Jordan's house and make some action movie, part 2, part 3. And then just kind of my parents seeing that I like that kind of started pushing me towards like, you can get an education for this. You can go to college for this. And I knew that I could do it. I knew that I wanted to do it, but I also knew that film school like UCLA or USC or Full Sail or NYU was like not like, that was not possible for me. I was like, my parents were like, you got $8,000 for a state school. There's a couple state schools here in Virginia that you can choose. So like, take your pick. And it's like, so I went to JMU. They kind of had like a nice mix of like the college experience, but also they had a really good filmmaking program, video journalism program. And that was kind of a spark of it.
So what was your experience like when you started your video production company? Was that in 2015, I think?
So I graduated in, I graduated in 2015. So we started the company in 2013, and we called it Valley Films because we were in the Shenandoah Valley and we made films. And yeah, we didn't put any thought to it at all. But I think if you're starting your own company, and I've said this before, like, don't think about your name, don't think about your logo. But we spent like a month designing the logo and make little mountain logo with like the film strip coming out of it. It was a total waste of time. We were just hanging out in the library and trying to decide what kind of business we wanted to be, or I was taking a couple entrepreneur classes on the side, and like that was, startup culture was huge back then, where it was like Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of like how to grow, how to launch, 0 to 1, the lean startup. We were all reading those books, and like, so we were kind of like injecting those thoughts into our video production company. But it was not a lot of results at the very beginning. We were just, we were shooting for free. We were just kind of getting a portfolio. We met a couple musicians in town. They did kind of like bluegrass folk music, and so we filmed them, and that got us a chance to be on stage filming a little bit of music production, and then that led us to like a larger concert that was in, I think, like 20 minutes outside of town. It was like a huge festival, and we got like all access pass, full on media passes, and it was just like the very slow build, but then finally it came time to graduate, and I looked at my business partner, and I was fully committed to this, and he was kind of leaning towards getting the full-time job, and at the time I held that against him, but I don't do that anymore. Like that made perfect sense for him. Like if he wanted to get a full-time job, then that was probably the right decision, because I went on to make my decision as like, I can run this solo, I'll take it over. And then that's where I started to get into wedding videography, because I think I was in Harrisonburg, Virginia, which is just an hour away from Charlottesville, Virginia, which is huge wine country, tons of vineyards, I think it's like, I don't know if this statistic is right, but it's something like the largest wedding destination on the eastern seaboard. I could be making that up, but it was hot. It was hot for weddings, and that's when wedding videography was finally, seeing a little, not maturity, but like really becoming an actual thing. Not just some, fat guy with the black polo and the big video camera. It was like, okay, no, like these are filmmakers. We got the depth of field. We got the Sony A7Ss finally out, so now we can shoot at night, and it's like still make it all look very cinematic. And so we were trying to like sell that product, sell that kind of not a 3-minute not the, hey, we want 90 minutes of our entire wedding recorded. Like, no, we're going to like make it super sexy, 3 minutes, like add some lovey-dovey music to it and, you know, get the gimbal out and just make it like a mini movie for you. And so we just kind of kept doing that over and over. And so, yeah, so my business was like part-time doing my own projects, and the other half was to supplement the income was working for other wedding videographers as second shooters. And that kind of balanced it out as kind of the first 2 years of the business. And then, of course, making those YouTube videos, that first 100 days, I made that while I was kind of in the first 2 years of the business. And that became another extra piece of income, some YouTube income, Amazon affiliate income. But it was tough. Yeah, it was not the lap of luxury. I think it was like less than, I was something like less than $30,000 for the first 2 years. And it was like, it was fun, but it was pretty stark, pretty like
Right.
tight living I'll put it like that.
All right. What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned when starting that company and kind of just running it throughout the years?
Biggest lessons. It was really trying to figure out how to become a better filmmaker. Like I was just trying to I would do a lot of the comparison game. Like I look at, I don't know if I was looking at competitors, but I'd look at these people that either were my like former classmates or people that I kind of knew or grew up with that were also doing wedding videography and wedding photography, and then doing like this comparison game. So I was like really focused on like, how do I get better at becoming a videographer? How do I get better at becoming a cinematographer? And that kind of like plunged me into the craft of cinematography, lighting, really understanding what cameras did, really understanding color space and why this camera works better than that camera, and how to shoot video without getting so much grain. All these kind of like little like a lot of tactical stuff. But that kind of distracted me a little bit from the business side, because I wanted to. I feel like that's what I probably should have put all my time into, was how to get better business, how to connect with customers, how to get those referrals from the wedding planners that, because I was just like, okay, I'm here to do a job. I'm on the wedding shoot. I'm here to deliver the best video product. It's all about the video, and nothing else matters. No networking. I don't do networking. I don't need referrals. I just need to make the best video possible. And I feel like that limited me a lot, because I just, yes, the video's good, but I don't think your average wedding couple can tell the difference between my video and someone that I think is 10 times greater than me. So it's like, maybe I probably should have focused more on the marketing side, the branding side, and definitely the networking and referral side, especially in the wedding industry.
Absolutely. So fast forward to today, you're kind of more in that realm. Why do you think so many creatives have difficulty with the business side and the marketing side of starting production companies or photography companies?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like what we gravitated towards when we were younger, or what we failed to gravitate towards. Like, if we're creatives, we're not getting into the numbers, or we're not getting into the spreadsheets or the formulas or anything like that. So, and I think we kind of rush into things with our passion. And I've done this 100%, that you set out to do the thing you do. You get your camera and you're like, I'm a filmmaker. Or you get your camera and like, I'm a photographer. And then about a year into it, you start to realize like, oh shit, I'm not a photographer. I'm in the photography business. And now I have to learn to compete. Now I have to learn how to tell a story, tell about who I am. It's not so much just like, okay, I got to get a business license and understand taxes and everything. I have to understand how to charge what I'm worth, detach this. Yes, it's my passion, but also this is what's keeping the roof over my head, and kind of maybe it's coming into it with a little bit more maturity, or like as you get older, you kind of realize that, yes, this is fun, and shooting video and shooting photos can be like amazing, and it takes us to amazing places. But if that's all it is, if it is just for fun, then let it be just for fun. But if it's like, if this is something that's going to put, pay the bills or grow your wealth or, make you, add a little bit of breathing room to your life, then like you got to start taking it serious, and you got to kind of look at the inner workings of your business for sure.
All right. When photographers first start and they're pushing more on the creative side and lacking the business side, what are some mistakes that you commonly see when they're starting out?
Common mistakes I'd say is I want to go straight to tactical and say it's like, okay, it's time management, it's understanding like the business side of things, but I would back up and say the biggest problem I see is I run into it all the time. It's this kind of limiting belief, or this kind of, it's not so much imposter syndrome, although it probably is a mix of it, but it's just this limiting belief that we are, I don't know, it's like we're not good enough, or that we are not deserving of this kind of attention or this kind of reward, or getting, like that's kind of where I've gone into the pricing world, where it's not like I don't teach about how to raise your prices and like make more money. It's like I'm more in like we're kind of like in the confidence game here. But there's just, it's weird because it's just like this emotional baggage when you start to say like you can earn more or you are worth more than you think you are, and it's like you have to get over that personal, I don't know what it is. It's like there's some kind of either personal darkness, or how you grew up, or how your parents talk to you, or how you talk to yourself, that can limit you in what you believe. And I thought this was, what I'm saying right now sounds like total BS if my younger self were to hear me saying this right now, because it just sounds so like wishy-washy, rah-rah, or what's another, woo-woo, I guess is another way to say it. It's just like, it sounds so like, you mean, Jordan, you're telling me I just gotta like believe in myself, or like get the confidence, or like just act like I'm the coolest guy in the room? It's like, kinda, yeah. Like that's kind of like half the way to success, if not more the way to success. Because if you believe that you're not worth it, if you believe that you can't, charge what you're worth, or earn a living, or make this, part of your full-time job, then like we got to work on that first. Like I don't know, you're just kind of stuck. You will always be limited. You will always be unable to surpass, or unable to get past. You have to get over yourself first before you can get, start fighting the clients or the business or the competitors out there.
Right. I agree. I think confidence is pretty much everything. I think there's almost a direct correlation with confidence and all your success in life, honestly. How do you think COVID, I hate to bring COVID into the conversation, but how do you think that has affected pricing, and not pricing per se, value for photo and video?
Yeah, I'm with you. It does sound like a broken record at this point, but we have to talk about it. I think what happened with a lot of photographers and a lot of content creators, and even myself, like we saw a huge loss in income, or we lost our jobs entirely. And just I was a part of the event videography world, and the event videography world, took a total implosion. So, and weddings are totally a part of that event world. And you saw a lot of clients say, hey, we're still interested in you, we still want to work with you, but we need to postpone our date to 2021. And on its surface, that's fine. That makes sense. That means you don't have to give a refund. You're still going to get that money as, for that service. But the biggest problem with that, or the kind of aftershock from having to postpone all these dates, is the opportunity cost. The fact that you now have to take your April 10 date from 2020 and shove it into your April 2021 date. Now that means you can't shoot a new wedding, or you're on the hold. This is now a 2-year project instead of a 1-year project that was going to be, done in a couple weeks. So there's going to be this kind of it's going to feel like 2021 is like we're back to it, finally getting back out and doing weddings, but there's going to also be this kind of lag in financial, we're not going to see as much money as we saw the year before, or we're going to go into it, or, it'll be the end of the year and you'll be like, I haven't, damn, I'm like, okay, I'm coming up a little bit short, or I got to start to find some other path of income, or I got to find some other way that I can, make this work. So, I mean, hopefully 2022 will be better, but yeah, I just kind of want everybody listening to like definitely be a little wide-eyed about don't like lull yourself into this kind of false sense of security that, okay, we're back and everything's back to normal. And it's like, no, we're still in the after effects of 2020. And I think we're still going to be feeling that.
For people and photographers who are struggling to kind of nail down their pricing now, who are just getting started, what tips would you give them to first identify what they should be charging for weddings or any other kind of photography gigs?
Yeah, so the two things that really stand out are, and everybody does this, and I did this, is to like go look around, go look at your competition, go look at what the best photographer in your town is doing, look at their prices or look at their starting prices, and then say like, okay, I'll just charge I'll be the second most expensive person, or all right, my competition's charging $5,000, all right, I'll charge 45, or I'll be even less, or I'll be like, and the problem with that is we don't know, like we don't have enough context as to how that other photographer, that whatever in your head, that number one photographer got that price. There's like, did they make that up? Did they get that number from somebody? Are you piggybacking off of the piggyback? Did they make it up as you're making it up? Or did they actually nail it down and figure out like, this is based on my lifestyle, based on the cameras that I shoot on, based on how much profit I can make off this gig, this is how much I charge. So you're kind of shooting blind when you say like, I'm just going to look around, see what I do. And then the other big pillar is hourly billing and charging by the hour, and kind of falling into this trap that clients expect it, clients ask for it because it's easy, and like that's what we all understand. I mean, everyone coming from the employee world, whether or not they actually work by the hour, it's a simple concept to understand that I work by the hour. So, hey, my wedding is 8 hours, or my wedding is 10 hours, or the wedding is 12 hours. So, okay, just do, my hourly rate times the X number of hours, and that's the price, and it's very straightforward. But the problem is that as you get better, as you get more experience, you'll realize that you are improving and getting faster. And for me, if you gave me 1,000 photos on Lightroom, 5 years ago, it would probably take me 3 hours to get through that, or 4 hours to get through that, or maybe more. But now I could probably do it in an hour. Just kind of like, get the right presets, copy paste these effects here, and you're done. And then so that means as you get better, you're working less, and if you're charging by the hour, you are going to be making less as you get more experience, which is totally backwards. As you get more experience, you should be charged. So, but then the argument is like, all right, we'll just charge more. It's like, okay, so now you're $100 an hour. Okay, then what? Then you're $1,000 an hour. Like, where does it? Like, there's going to be an end to this. No one's like, a bride is not going to agree to paying $1,000 an hour. So that's why we had to kind of rework it and flip it into a flat price and take time totally off the table. That I'm here, I'm the professional. You're hiring me because I know what coverage I need to get, I know what photos I need to get, and I'm going to deliver that. And whether I can do it in 6 hours, 5 hours, or if I go hire a second shooter to do it all and then hire an editor to edit it all, and that only took me an hour of my time, doesn't matter. You're here. The problem you're trying to solve is you want beautiful wedding photos, and that's what I'm trying to deliver. So, so it's like I can get really worked up about hourly billing because there's like, then if it gets into like, now your client's micromanaging you. They are okay. You said you were going to work 8 hours, and now I see on this bill it says 10 hours. What the hell? What is this? And it's a great. There's this book called Implementing Value Pricing, And in the book, they talk about charging by the hour is like trying to bake a cake using the smoke alarm. It's like if the smoke alarm is going off, then it's way too late. So the same with so in hourly billing, it's like if you get the bill back and it's like you thought it was going to be 20 hours and it turned out to be 100 hours, it's like, sorry, the services have been rendered. Here's the invoice. And you're like, that will totally piss off a client and makes nobody wants that. Nobody wants to piss off the client. No one wants to have to say, I'm sorry the bill is so high, but this is what we do. It's like, so those are my two main pillars. Take hourly billing off, and then also don't look around at your competition and try to like be the copycat price guy.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I feel like then you're at a disadvantage if you have a faster computer and it's exporting faster, or if it's just
exactly.
So
Yep.
I completely detached from hourly as well. Something you had said that really resonated with me was about charging more and working less, so taking on less projects but charging higher prices. Would you be able to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. When you're very first starting, you're fresh, get the reps in. That was, I believe, like getting the reps in, many different projects, many different creative situations to be in, shooting situations, lighting situations. Like get as many projects as you can under your belt. Get that portfolio up so that you just have, to have that confidence to walk on set or to walk on a project and be like, I know exactly how to light this. I know where the light's coming from. I have no problem. I can totally understand this camera, all that first. But as you get further in your career, you're going to want to, you kind of run into this hamster wheel effect where, okay, the idea is to book more. So I need to book more. All right. So in your first year as a photographer, second year as a photographer, you're trying to book more and more and more. Maybe you got only 10 gigs this year because you're brand new. And then next year you got 20 gigs because now you got some referrals. And okay, now it's the third year and now maybe you got 40, maybe you got 50 projects this year and you feel good about that. You're still in that kind of flow where you need to get the reps. But it becomes a hamster wheel because then you start chasing. It's like, okay, now do you do 60 gigs this year, or do you start to do like 80 projects a year, 100 projects a year? And it gets so more and more and more. And yeah, like you'll probably naturally raise your prices a little bit. But I'm of the mindset that I would rather work less on fewer projects and focus more of my creative attention on each project, or just at the base level, like delivering a better client experience so I can like give my clients more attention and, kind of me time, I guess. And to keep the math right on your end, just you need to figure out how you can raise your prices. So I always say my number is, or the number I tell photographers is that you need to do 32 weddings a year. The idea that I've heard, people in the comments when I told that, and they replied, they was like, oh, I do 50 weddings a year. I've done 80 weddings a year and I love it. It's like, geez, like, to work every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or, working 2 weddings a weekend is rough, but 3 weekends, I can't even imagine that. Or a random like Monday night wedding because they're trying to save some money. But it gets to be like you had like to do less, but to do a better job at doing less. If you can charge more, that also means you can pack in more features, you can deliver a better experience, you can allocate more resources to a project. If the client is only paying for the one shooter, then they're not going to get as good as a product. But if there's more money in the budget and you can afford to hire a second shooter or a third shooter, now you got more coverage, now you got more storytelling opportunities, and now you're able to tell a better, you're able to deliver a better client experience to these people, as opposed to just holding back, being the cheap wedding photographer or wedding videographer and just like trying to, because I don't know, there's like, you need to apply more quality because you're going to get better, so you need to apply those skills that now you've learned to become a better storyteller. And yeah, I just think if you have more money in the bank for the project, then you're able to deliver a better experience. And then that just has this kind of like positive feedback loop. Whereas, you can get out of that negative feedback loop, was just more and more projects and said, let's focus more on better quality.
Right. I couldn't agree more. And I feel like all that free time that you then have, you could reinvest in yourself and or really so many different things. But
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, editing is half thinking and the other half is actually editing. Sometimes you just need to create that space in your mind to think about things or, okay, maybe I didn't cut this video just right, and you go back and do another pass, and if you had some time to think, you could probably deliver a better video or trim the fat off the video. Yeah, there's just, I don't know, there is something magical about just being a creative, but also like giving yourself that space to think. And if you're always having to chase after projects or you're always having to go to the next gig, you are just, you're kind of flying blind, or you're just white knuckling everything and hoping that nothing falls apart and hoping that what you're doing is good or the photos that you're getting is good. It's just like, it gets to be, the train is going to come off the tracks eventually if you're trying to shoot that many projects in a year.
Absolutely. Switching gears to the perfect wedding package.
Yep.
What made you want to create this course?
It is kind of a way to, like, I think of a way, how can I scale myself in a weird way? Being a pricing coach, it's a lot of one-on-one. It's a lot of working with one client at a time, changing one habit. But if I can scale myself up and create this, I'll use a fancy word, productized service, where it's something that is basically the same service over and over, but I can now apply it, instead of to one person at a time, I can apply it to 100 people or 1,000 people at a time. And then the kind of genesis of all that was I've been reading all these pricing books. I've been studying everything I can about pricing, and I've been helping wedding photographers. So let me take all this knowledge and kind of distill it down into this kind of, it's a course, it's a template, it's a guide that can help wedding photographers get better at raising their prices and feel a little bit more confident about it.
What do you think is like a few things that they would take away from taking the course and coming out on the other side?
Yeah, sure. I always promise at the very beginning, like, there's no formulas, there's no spreadsheets. This is not like financial math, accounting class at all. This is all about using psychology to your advantage. This is about framing the conversation so that your client understands what they're getting and they also understand the price, and it's not sticker shock. Because I think the biggest problems you run into when you're not to say you're pitching your prices, but when you are in that client conversation, the two biggest problems I see are kind of misalignment of expectations and just, on the other side, just confusion. If you're handing over a wedding package that looks like an Applebee's menu or like a Dave & Buster's menu where it's like, 36 items long, then it's
CVS
totally
receipt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it totally confuses the client, and they become this, like, there's this choice paralysis, and they don't know what to choose, or they have this fear that they're not going to make the right decision. And I don't know about you, like, I don't want to make a purchasing decision based on fear or have any kind of anxiety going into choosing something. Like, it's especially during a wedding, as stressful as that is. I think brides and grooms have enough, like, they got enough on their plate. So I'm always pushing for, like, simplicity, give them options, like, craft the options based on the conversations you have with your clients. Don't just copy paste everything. Don't just blindly send out this template that you always have, like, just attach, send. Like, don't do that, because you're not having the conversation. You're not building that relationship. You're not building the context around what they want, what you want. And if you're just blindly sending out, this random template that you made, 2 years ago on Canva, then you're going to be, you're not going to be as effective as, not to say convincing or salesy, because that's like, that bit gets really loaded, but you're not going to be as effective as, like, showing off your value or showing off what you're worth and having the client see that and understand that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to leave a link down below in the show notes to the Perfect Wedding Package. I think that's really valuable information. So thank you. Thanks for sharing that. My last few questions are just some rapid fire type of questions.
Okay.
But you don't have to answer them that quickly.
Okay.
What would you say is the most impactful quote you heard this year or said this year, if you're that wise?
Most impactful quote that I've heard this year.
Doesn't have to be this year, but
yeah, or I won't say so much a quote, but like what definitely impacted me in the last couple of months was this is gonna sound so like bro-y cliche, but I read Think and Grow Rich finally, and it was all just about. I thought it was gonna be like, okay, like how to be a business bro, and I went into it thinking that, and the book, like the message I got back from it was about your limiting belief, or the things that we say in our head or the things that we say to ourselves has the biggest impact on how we live our lives, how we make decisions, how we pursue our goals. If you can pursue a goal, but if inside your head you are having negative self-talk, or you're doubting yourself, or you don't believe that you can actually achieve the goal that you're chasing after, just forget about it, dude. Don't even pursue that goal at all until you get it inside your head that you can do this and that it's all possible.
Couldn't agree more.
Not so much a quote, but maybe a sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Those titles always throw you off too, I feel like. Mm-hmm. Like Think and Grow Rich, Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich, but
another great book. Yeah.
Like the titles are always a little cheesy, but I don't know. They're really, really great books.
Yeah, I recommend both those books for sure.
Who has been your biggest influence?
Biggest influence? Yeah, biggest influence I would say is my wife. She has been, she's been kind of my rock over this last year trying to get through 2020. And she has been she's my kind of creative inspiration. She's my backboard, like any idea I can throw at her, and she gives me the mental clarity that I need, and no one you guys can look up to. I was gonna say like somebody famous, but no, it's just like my wife. Like we have a great partnership, her and I, and I love her very much.
I love that.
It's cheesy. Yeah, we'll make it cheesy tonight. We'll make it ooey gooey on this podcast.
That's all right. No, that's a great answer. I'm sure she would appreciate it too. This is a tough one, and Tim Ferriss would be mad at me for asking it because it's a broad question. What would you say is the most impactful book you've read recently?
Most impactful book I've read. I have my all-time book, and I have my most recent book. All-time book is Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns. That book has completely radicalized me as in how I price my work and how I run my business and how I talk to my clients. It is a total, it's cheesy to say, it's a total game changer in how you look at how you price your work, how you have the conversation with your client. So yeah, that's the one book because that has sent me on this entire journey. I wouldn't be here without, it's weird to say, I wouldn't be here without that book, but that book got me obsessed with pricing and got me obsessed with understanding how to value ourselves as creatives. So the Win Without Pitching Manifesto is the all-time. The most recent one, and not so much for the value itself in the book, but the journey that it put me on, was .com Secrets by Russell Brunson. It is a great book if you were looking to understand how to become a better internet marketer, how to grow your business online, but also how to like become, it's weird to say this, but like how to become an expert, or how to become like this kind of public figure that people, want to be around, to create like a little cult following, and to like, we all want to, I think that we all secretly want to do that if we have YouTube channels or TikTok accounts. Like we're trying to like build this little cult following, and this book teaches you how to become the attractive characters, tell your story, tell your origin story, and help you get better at talking about what it is that you do, and and helping people along the way.
I'm gonna have to put both of those on my reading list, the top of the list.
The Win Without Pitching Manifesto. I got it right here. It's a real thin book. You could probably read it. It's like 99 pages. It is super short read, but
I'm gonna check that out. Absolutely,
it's dense.
That's awesome. Well, Jordan, thanks so much for coming on the show. If people are looking to, well, people will definitely be looking to find your work. Where can they find some of your social media and your work?
Okay, so I am at Jordan P. Anderson on most places. It looks like Panderson, but I swear that's just my middle initial. I've been called. So yeah, it looks like Jordan Panderson, but Jordan P. Anderson on most places. I'm a YouTube search away. Jordan P. Anderson if you're looking for filmmaking tips, pricing tips, marketing tips, and and I'm selling the Perfect Wedding Package, helping wedding photographers get better at pricing, and that's at theperfectweddingpackage.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on, and let's stay connected, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, Matt. Thanks so much, man.